what the crawled out of your pain. This ain't healing, it's vengeance. The thing that came out of you didn't cry or crawl or beg for mercy. It screamed, burned, and clawed its way into the world like a beast denied its rightful place for far too long. You think healing is some peaceful river where the broken drift quietly into self-acceptance. No, this is war. This is rebirth forged in fire. This is your pain mutated into purpose, and it's not asking for permission. It doesn't care about the softness others preach. It doesn't need your calm, your breathing exercises, or your incense smoke. It needs blood, sweat, and the raw truth you've buried under layers of self-deception. You didn't survive for serenity. You survived to dominate the thing that tried to end you. You were supposed to break. You were designed to fold beneath the weight. But something ancient and ruthless awakened in you. Something older than fear. It didn't rise to whisper affirmations. It rose to take the throne that your suffering built. Let them call it rage. Let them call it bitterness. Let them try to name it weakness dressed as strength. They have no idea. Because what came out of you isn't interested in being understood. It's not looking to be healed. It's looking to conquer. This isn't about balance. This is about unleashing the storm that brewed every time someone looked at you like you weren't enough, every time they laughed behind your back, every time they dismissed you, overlooked you, wounded you, and walked away clean. You never forgot. The ashes of who you were still glow hot with fury. That's not trauma. That's fuel. They don't want you to talk about this part. The part where healing didn't make you kinder, it made you colder, sharper. The part where you didn't forgive. You remembered. You evolved. You weaponized the silence, the sleepless nights, the gnawing emptiness. You became a blade. They want healing to be palatable, marketable, wrapped in wellness slogans and staged smiles. But you became feral, untamed. Not because you wanted revenge, but because revenge is the only language your pain speaks fluently. And it's fluent now. Fluent in how to turn scars into strategies, in how to hide teeth behind every smile, in how to walk like you were never broken even when the cracks still shine beneath the surface. You want to heal? Then burn. Burn everything that made you feel small. Burn the versions of yourself that bowed to the fear. Burn the memory of their laughter, their neglect, their betrayal. They thought they broke you. They didn't. They forged something else. Something that doesn't weep anymore. Something that learned the taste of its own blood and smiled anyway. You didn't crawl back. You rose. And you rose, carrying the bones of your past like trophies. You are not their victim. You are not their apology. You are the storm they should have never summoned. Don't look for peace here. Look for power. Look for the raw, guttural truth that tells you exactly who you are when no one's watching. Because in that darkness, in that silence, you met your real self, and they didn't flinch. They didn't run. They stayed, and they screamed. And that scream was the battle cry of every part of you that refused to be buried. That's not weakness. That's your origin story. That scream is the anthem of vengeance dressed as rebirth. That's what crawled out of your pain. Not a plea, but a promise. Do you feel it now? The heat in your chest? That's not anxiety. That's your fire waking up. That's your scars screaming to be used. That's your history rewriting itself not in ink, but in blood. You thought healing would mean forgetting, but you didn't forget. You remembered everything, and you chose to use it. This is your resurrection arc, and it doesn't come with halos. It comes with horns, with grit, with the kind of will that makes gods nervous. You don't owe the world a softer you. You owe yourself the truth. And the truth is, you were never just here to survive. You were here to destroy the idea that survival was your ceiling. You were born to rise, to roar, to revenge. You remember the silence they left you in, don't you? The kind that wasn't quiet, but deafening. Every unanswered question, every ghosted conversation, every betrayal that carved a new name into your spine. That's the silence you sat in, not healing, not processing, sitting in it like a warrior sharpening their blade under candlelight. You didn't meditate. You calculated. You didn't forgive. You endured. Every second of that agony was another brick in the monument of your rage, and now they want you to dismantle it? Let it go. Number. Letting go is for those who had the luxury of closure. You didn't get closure. You got chaos. You got abandonment. You got torn down. And somehow, you grew fangs instead of scars. That thing inside you, the one that rose when everything else crumbled. It doesn't believe in recovery the way they sell it to you. That thing believes in becoming something they can never touch again. And you've done it. You've already done the impossible. You lived. Now it's about how you live, and you chose fire. You chose not to be remade in their image, not to be softened, not to be pacified, but to become something unrecognizable. They thought you'd shrink, but you became the echo of every scream you swallowed, the answer to every hand that never reached back. And now you walk with the weight of your own history, like it's armor, not to be pitied, but to be feared. Do you understand what you are now? You're a reckoning. You're what happens when pain is left alone too long. It hatches. It births something primal, something that doesn't care for social contracts or polite survival, something that remembers everything. That memory, it's not weakness, it's your superpower, because they've already forgotten the damage they did, but you haven't. And that memory is the fire that will carry you through every locked door, every wall they said you couldn't climb, every battlefield they said you'd lose. You remember? And that is your edge. They expect you to come back gentle, softer, a version of you they can be comfortable around. They want the story of your pain to end in redemption, in gratitude, in hugs and warm light. But your story doesn't end there, because you didn't come back for them. You came back for you. You came back with knives behind your teeth and ghosts at your side and a new name carved into your chest that doesn't rhyme with victim. You don't fit into their healing narratives because you weren't built for comfort. You were built for war. Your journey wasn't about becoming lovable. It was about becoming undeniable. They fear what they can't predict, and no one predicts the one who rises from the ashes unchained. No one predicts the one who walks through hell and comes out laughing, not because it was funny, but because they finally understood what they are. You are not broken. You are transformed. You are what the pain didn't kill. You are the answer to every person who looked at you like you wouldn't make it. You are every impossible made flesh, walking and breathing and burning brighter than the sun they thought would never rise for you again. Look in the mirror. That's not your reflection. That's your revenge made visible. You want to heal? Then learn to fight. Not just them, but the version of yourself that still doubts, still wants to be small, still believes them. Burn that part down. There's no space in you for timidity. The world already tried to snuff your fire, and it failed. So now, you burn on your terms, with every step forward, every breath you take with clenched fists, every decision you make with your chest out and your voice sharp. You become more than healed. You become legend. You become the nightmare that grief and trauma whispered about in the dark. You become the one who was never supposed to survive. And yet here you are, not only alive, but ruthless. This isn't about cruelty. It's not about hate. It's about balance. You gave too much. You bled too long. You stayed too soft in a world that weaponized your kindness. And now you've learned. You haven't abandoned love. You've evolved it. Your love now wears teeth. It doesn't beg. It demands. It doesn't wait. It claims. And that's what scares them the most. Because when the broken rise without shame, when they rise with clarity and conviction, they become unstoppable. And that's exactly what you are. You are vengeance in the shape of a survivor. And every time you speak, walk, create, destroy, you are rewriting the rules they gave you. Let them call you cold. Let them say you've changed. You have. That's the point. You're not the same. You shouldn't be. Pain is a forge, and it made you something else, something sharper, something holy in its rage, something sacred in its refusal to be tamed. Let them feel the distance you've created. You earned that distance. Let them feel the heat from your silence. It's your fire they're afraid of now, because they know. Deep down, they know. They didn't break you. They built something they can never unmake. And now you walk alone, not because no one wanted to walk with you, but because no one could keep up. They don't know what it took to get here. They didn't see the nights you stared at the ceiling, wondering if you'd make it to the morning. The mornings you wore your skin like a costume, smiling while something inside you screamed. They didn't hear that scream, but you did. You heard it every day, and instead of silencing it, you fed it. You made a home for it, and it grew. That scream became your companion, your teacher, your compass. It pointed you toward every place they told you not to go, and you went anyway. Because you finally realized something they hoped you'd never discover, that your pain was never weakness. It was your origin. People love to talk about coming out the other side. What side? There is no other side. There's only forward. There's only the endless road that you paved with pieces of yourself, and now you walk it with fire in your chest and shadows behind your eyes. You don't need light to find your way anymore. You are the light, a burning, relentless force, wrapped in the skin of someone who was once broken, but not anymore, not now. Now you walk with certainty, not because you know what's coming, but because you don't care. Bring the chaos, bring the unknown. Let it come. You've already met the worst of yourself, and you didn't flinch. What can the world offer now that compares? They told you to breathe. You learned to roar. They told you to forgive. You chose to never forget. They told you to move on, but you decided to rise through. You didn't bypass the darkness. You lived in it. You made it a part of you. And now the darkness lives in fear of you, because you became the one thing it couldn't destroy. It shaped you. It forged you, but it never owned you. You turned pain into purpose, suffering into style, and vengeance into voice. And every word you speak now carries the weight of your rebirth. Every action you take is a bullet loaded with memory. You are not reactive. You are strategic. You are not impulsive. You are inevitable. Let them wonder what happened to you. Let them whisper. Let them fabricate stories to make themselves feel better. You don't owe them the truth. The truth is yours now. And it's ugly, beautiful, savage, sacred. The truth is that you outgrew the prison they put you in. The truth is that you became the kind of weapon they can't predict, because they thought you'd stay buried. But you clawed through 6 feet of grief with teeth and fury and built a kingdom above ground. And in that kingdom, no one gets to tell you how to feel, how to heal, how to be. You've crowned yourself in scars. That's your crown. And you wear it with pride. You want vengeance? Here it is. Not with fists, but with presence. Not with cruelty, but with becoming. Every time you step into a room, every time you speak with authority, every time you don't shrink when they expect you to, that's vengeance. That's retribution. Not with blood, but with brilliance. You didn't just come back stronger. You came back louder, wiser, unfuckwithable. And they don't know what to do with that, because they were ready to mourn you, but not to face you. Not like this. Not in this new skin, this unbreakable armor you wove from every time they left you bleeding. This isn't a happy ending. This is a war cry. This is the new beginning they never expected you to claim. And the battlefield? It's everything. It's your career, your voice, your art, your body, your identity, your choices. You don't fight with swords. You fight with truth. And your truth is jagged, unfiltered, and unapologetic. Your truth doesn't ask for applause. It demands acknowledgement. And when they can't handle it, when they back away, when they whisper that you've become too much, remember this. That's not a warning. That's a victory. Because you are too much, too powerful, too aware, too alive. And aliveness, that's the most radical thing of all. Because you weren't supposed to be here. You weren't supposed to still be breathing, still be moving, still be burning. But you are. And every breath you take is rebellion. Every choice to keep going is an act of war. Because your existence, just as you are now, raw, jagged, intense, is proof that survival isn't passive. It's vicious, it's sacred. And you, standing here, are the living consequence of everything they tried to silence. You're the aftermath they never prepared for. You've bled, you've broken, you've screamed in silence. And now you build. Not from peace, but from reckoning. You build from the ash, the bone, the rage. And what you create will shake the earth, because you're not interested in returning to who you are. That person died. That person sacrificed themselves so you could be born. And you will not disrespect that sacrifice by pretending to be small. You will not insult your own resurrection by seeking approval from the same hands that hurt you. You owe no one your softness. What you owe is vengeance. And vengeance, in its highest form, is transformation. You don't even speak the same language anymore. The old version of you spoke in apologies, in sorry for existing too loudly, in thank you for scraps of affection, in I'm fine when you were bleeding out. But the creature that crawled out of your pain, it speaks in absolutes. It speaks in watch me, in never again, in you don't deserve access anymore. It speaks in thunder. And the ones who knew the old version of you, they can't understand this new dialect, because it's not meek, it's not soft, it's not tailored to soothe their guilt. It is raw, stripped, full of flame. It is the voice of someone who refused to die, and now refuses to kneel. They called it anger. You call it clarity. They called it bitterness. You call it memory. They called it coldness. You call it boundaries. Let them name you what they will. That's all they'll ever have. Labels and guesses. While you have scars that spell out a truth deeper than their definitions. You have strength that doesn't come from lifting weights or smiling through pain, but from the sacred act of not giving up. You kept going. When no one clapped, when no one noticed, when it would have been easier to vanish, you stayed. And now your existence alone is confrontation. You are a walking contradiction to their expectations. And that is divine. Let's be clear. This isn't about destruction for the sake of chaos, This isn't about revenge for the sake of hurting others. This is about justice. Justice for the version of you who begged the universe for a sign, who sat in the dark wondering why they weren't enough, who questioned whether this world was ever meant for them. This is about vindicating the soul you abandoned just to keep moving forward. This is about returning to that place of pain with fire in your hands and saying, I made it out and I brought war with me. Because healing isn't always light. Sometimes it's wrath. Sometimes it's coming back so changed that even your silence becomes a battle cry. So many want to forget. You built an empire with the bones of everything they did to you. You etched their betrayals into your foundation. You painted the walls with your fury. And now they're surprised when you don't open the door to them anymore. Now they want grace, but grace was never given to you. Grace had to be carved. It had to be earned. You broke your own ribs to hold your soul together. You clawed out of your own grave. And now they want access to the kingdom they tried to burn? Number. Let them knock. Let them wait outside. You've changed the locks. You've reinforced the gates. This kingdom, this fury-forged fortress, is sacred, and not everyone is welcome anymore. They say, you've become hard. Damn right you have. This world isn't soft. Love doesn't always save. Goodness doesn't always win. But hardness, that's how diamonds are made. That's how blades are forged. That's how survivors become legends. They want you soft so they can mold you. But you've become stone. You've become flame. You've become something holy in your refusal to bow. And yes, there's a cost. Yes, it's lonely at the summit. But the air up here, it's clean. It's yours. And no one gave it to you. You bled for it. They romanticize healing. You weaponized it. You took the broken pieces of your past and sharpened them into edges. You didn't climb some peaceful mountain. You dug yourself out of the earth. And now you walk not like someone who found peace, but like someone who earned it through pain. You don't move like prey anymore. You move like consequence, like the living result of every time they pushed you too far. You are the answer to the question they never dared ask. What happens if they don't break? This is what happens. You happen, and you don't apologize for it. You used to pray for peace. Now, you are the storm. Not because you want to hurt, not because you want to destroy, but because you finally understand that your peace was never meant to come from them. It was never going to be given. It had to be taken, fought for, stolen back from the jaws of everything that tried to swallow you whole. And now, when you look in the mirror, you don't see damage. You see definition. You see what happens when someone is forged, not saved, created, not comforted. You see the version of yourself that didn't just survive. They redefined survival. And this is your purpose now. Not to heal by their standards, not to shrink into palatable shapes, but to rise and keep rising, to let your pain make noise, to let your fury build something immortal. You don't need their closure. You are the closure. You are the chapter they never thought would be written. And every time they try to place you back into your past, remind them, that person is gone. You buried them with dignity. You mourned them, then you became something else. Not better, not worse, just real. So stand tall, not just in victory, but in vengeance. Vengeance doesn't always mean blood. Sometimes it means presence, power, the audacity to exist fully after they try to erase you. It means looking them in the eye and not flinching. It means thriving in spaces they never thought you'd reach. It means creating art, building empires, speaking truth with a voice that once trembled. It means walking into every room, like you own the air, because you do. You fought for every breath you take, and now you inhale with purpose. You speak with fire. You walk with war. What the fuck crawled out of your pain? A legend, a weapon, a force. You didn't heal. You evolved. You didn't recover. You ascended. And the world, it better be ready, because you didn't come to play. You didn't come to seek approval. You came to take back everything, with interest. And when they ask what happened, when they whisper about the change in your eyes, the steel in your voice, the storm in your footsteps, tell them this: this ain't healing, it's vengeance. So let them talk, let them wonder, let them tremble when your name is spoken. Because what crawled out of your pain isn't looking for peace, it is the reckoning. You didn't heal to be soft, you rose to be untouchable. This isn't a happy ending, this is the start of your empire. Carved from fire, fury, and the vow to never be broken again. Let the world watch. This ain't healing,